Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're taking a beautiful walk around Fellfoot Park and I'm joined by the remarkable Neil Fleming. Neil moved to Cumbria from Scotland in 1987 and has dedicated a lot of his spare time committed to volunteer work, whether that is getting involved in organising large events or helping local communities or raising money for local charities. Neil's your man. His passion for community really shines through and it's really inspiring. Neil encourages everyone to volunteer and emphasises that you don't need to be exceptional, you just need to show up. Join us on this wholesome and uplifting episode as Neil inspires us all to give back to our communities and make a difference. So lace up your shoes and let's get walking. Hi Neil.
Hi Sukanya.
How are you?
All right, thank you.
Good. It's nice to meet Doug as well.
Yes, he's itching to go on this walk.
Yeah. So I've never been to Fellfoot before, so this is nice.
Yeah, it's somewhere we've always come with the boys and ourselves, and with the dog.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that order.
In that order.
There's a train, there's a steam train on the other side.
Yeah. So I've done the other side. I've done the aquarium.
So this end of the park, all park's situated on the bottom, sort of southeast side of Windermere.
Yeah.
And the end of the park that we're at is where the boat houses are. I think there's something like 5 old, stone boat houses, which they're all run by the National Trust now. And they've all been, there's a big cafe and they're converted into seating areas and the ice cream shop and so on.
Yeah.
But, and you can hire boats, so it's a kind of an activity place, I suppose, or a park where you can just come and have a cup of coffee and do nothing or walk the dog.
Picnicking.
Yeah, and then as you go down the path, it opens out more of the trees. And
which way do you want to go?
Go down
this way.
Grass, yeah. And then as you get right down towards the far end, there's what used to be just a big field, it's a big sort of dog walking area where you can let the dog off the lead and they can just run around.
Yeah, well that's good, hey. So how long have I known you, Neil? It's been a while, hasn't it? There's a question.
I don't know.
Was it 20? Oh, crikey.
No, not that long. 10 years, maybe.
10 years. Well, I was going to say 2011, 2012.
Maybe, yeah, okay. If you say so.
Oh, actually, maybe 2013.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, anyway. So it's nice we've kept in touch. Not that you really had a choice, because every time I see you...
No, I don't remember having a choice. No.
Every time I see you at the Keswick to Barrow, I'm in your face. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about was your journey to Cumbria, because you're not from Cumbria, are you?
No, I'm from Paisley, but I...
You've retained your accent well.
I must have deliberately tried to retain it or lose it. I probably didn't have a massively strong accent in the first place.
Oh, okay.
So compared with... Paisley's just along the road from Glasgow, and there's parts of Glasgow where I can't understand what they're saying. Glasgow's got a whole series of different incomprehensible dialects, unless you're born and brought up in that particular area.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I've got strong dialect, but also my wife is from Edinburgh. We actually met here. She came to work, same as me, in the shipyard, but she came after she left school. She came down as an apprentice and then got sponsored to go to university, whereas I did my degree up in Scotland and then got my job down here. And we met actually down here. Oh,
office romance?
Something like that. Not quite. Well, she was actually my landlady because she was, she was younger than me. It sounds like she's some kind of Nora Batty type thing, but she came down here when she was about 17, and so because she knew she was going to be here for a while, and at that time houses were incredibly cheap. Yeah, she bought a terraced house in the centre of Barrow, and she actually, because she got sponsored to go to university, she wasn't actually there a lot of the time.
Right.
And she rented it out to people like myself that were new starts in the company.
Oh, that's great.
So that's how I met her.
Very savvy.
So, yeah. So, yeah, she still kept charging me.
Yeah,
right.
did she?
She did. Oh, yeah.
How funny.
But, yeah, I've been here since 1987.
Wow. So
and she's actually been here slightly longer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
And, of course, we got 2 boys, and they were both born here, and this is very much their home and where they've always lived. And it's been a great place to bring them up.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of countryside. They're both quite outdoorsy. One in particular actually ended up doing a degree in sports science, but he loves climbing and sailing and swimming and pretty much
anything outdoors.
Outdoors.
And all accessible.
The more dangerous, the better, really.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Go scrambling and things like that.
Yeah, that just the thought of it makes me feel sick, actually.
Well, you didn't get it from me.
No. But I guess it's also the environment encourages that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, I love the outdoors. I like walking, like we are just now.
Yeah.
And having a dog is great for that. It kind of makes you go out even on a wet day when you wouldn't otherwise. So there's a bit of a win-win there, I suppose.
Well, I think when you live here, you have to be willing to be out in the wet anyway, or you're never going to go out.
Yeah, and we got a border collie, and you don't get a border collie and not expect to go out.
Yeah, you knew what you were doing.
We knew what we were doing, yeah. My parents had a border collie when I was small. So.
Yeah, I looked into getting a dog because of working from home so much, and I ended up on a website called Dogs for Seniors. So I figured it was...
I won't ask what you searched on.
Figured it was a sign that it wasn't going to fit my lifestyle. It did make me laugh a lot.
It's good having a dog.
Yeah. I could have got a robot dog, I suppose, but that still needs some sort of maintenance.
Well, almost certainly, probably more than you think. Yeah.
So how did you get involved with volunteer work? Because obviously we know each other through work.
Yeah.
But then I've seen you on all over Facebook, Neil.
That's not my choice. But yeah,
posting about lots of very different things. So how many things do you volunteer for?
Quite a few, but in different capacities. I think. I was thinking, actually, why did you even want to interview me? Because
it's a walk and talk.
It's a walk and talk. Yeah. Sorry, I beg your pardon. But because I kind of think I'm just kind of Mr. Ordinary, really. But I suppose I do things, and everybody does things, and nobody's actually ordinary. Everybody's different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the things,
and I think you do a lot more than you give yourself credit for.
Well, I do things that I enjoy. So it's not like I'm some kind of martyr.
Yeah, no. No, I wasn't suggesting that.
So I think I happen to enjoy volunteering, and I enjoy being with people and doing different things, and kind of helping other people to learn how to do things, and just working as part of a team. So, like I said, I do quite a lot of volunteering, but in different capacities. So, in some cases, like because it's Barrow Walk, you already mentioned, I'm on the organising committee for that, and have been
must be immense.
For a while.
An immense task to get.
Well, it is, but it's a big committee, so we've got about a dozen people on the committee.
Right.
It's a long-established organisation. It's been going for about 55 years now, I think. So it's not too corny. The current committee is just custodians, really, for a big event that raises about £500,000 a year for charities, and no doubt
they're local charities, aren't they?
Mostly, not entirely. People can nominate any charity, really, but it tends to be mostly local charities.
Right.
And we do kind of try and steer people towards local charities, and we do have a kind of ring-fenced pot of money from each walk that we do specifically give to local charities, sometimes very, very small local charities that don't have much of a fundraising capability of their own. Yeah. So we do like to sort of prioritise or make sure that local charities are looked after, because a lot of them find it quite difficult to raise money because some of them are for quite niche illnesses or conditions where they're run by people who themselves or whose partners maybe have a health condition, and so they don't have a lot of time to go doing charity fundraising for themselves.
Yeah.
Not like the big national charities like Cancer Care and so on, which is a great charity, by the way, but they've got a huge infrastructure.
I've walked the Keswick to Barrow for them before.
Well, it was set up just as a challenge between the crew of HMS Resolution that was being built in the shipyard at the time, and the shipyard team that was, building it.
That's why they have the cup.
Yeah, it's the Resolution Cup. For the first, it's a first team home, whether a shipyard or a Royal Navy team gets the Resolution Cup. It's a bit like the Ashes or something. But it's not really about that. But that was its origin. And they decided to walk from Keswick to Barrow, which was about 40 miles. I think originally the challenge was to walk 50 miles, but everyone realised that was a bit ridiculous.
That's a bit far.
So it actually goes from Keswick to Barrow, or just outside Keswick, which is just under 40 miles every year. Normally the first weekend after the first May bank holiday.
Yeah.
And we have about... this year about 1,500 people walked it from Keswick to Barrow.
Yeah, wow.
And we also have a shorter walk from Coniston to Barrow.
Yeah, I've done that one a few times as well.
And that's the one that I kind of organised, really.
Okay.
So that had about 2,000 people walked it this year.
Wow.
That was started off about 10 or 11 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So I've been involved in that ever since it started.
Yeah.
With a very small number of girl guides, I think it was. We did first year just as a trial, and it's sort of just grown a little bit each year. Yeah. And the idea of it is...
I just love it. It's one of my favourite events.
Yeah, the Coniston to Barrow just means that people who can't walk the full Keswick to Barrow have got an alternative. It's done on the same day, on the same route, at the bottom part of the route, so you get the same sort of experience.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that come out to support are just wonderful. Yeah, it's just such a sense of community and camaraderie.
Well, I've seen it recently as well with Dave Day in Barrow. The community really came out and supported that. It's a similar thing. When you get the local sort of Barrow community behind you with something like that, it is incredible.
Yeah, it's really uplifting and really wonderful to see. So with Keswick to Barrow, then you're on the organising committee.
Yeah.
And was that by invitation? Or?
Yeah, that one was at the time. It still is, but it's a bit less formal than it used to be. But it certainly used to be you had to be invited, whereas now you can sort of volunteer, and it's a bit more inclusive, I suppose.
Yeah.
So things have changed a lot even in 15 years.
Yeah, and was that because of your impeccable project management?
That must have been, No, it was because actually Keswick to Barrow committee, like I said, there's about a dozen or so people, and the idea is that different people have different sort of primary roles.
Yeah.
So they have someone who does fundraising, or merchandising, sorts out the gift aid.
Yeah.
And they were looking for somebody with an IT background.
Oh, okay.
So there was someone already there, but they needed someone else. So that was me, really, and I initially looked after the website and a few other bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
And then kind of moved more, I suppose, into the Coniston to Barrow setup when that started, because that was just after I joined the committee. Okay. So I just kind of...
Turned into your little baby.
Turned into my baby, yeah.
Oh, that's nice, though. It's nice to have that connection. I saw on the spreadsheet that they sent out, or posted on Facebook, that there's 10 people who've done it more than 30 times. They're Keswick to Barrow.
Yeah. The helicopter just coming past.
That's handy.
Don't know what that's doing. But,
we're expecting the red arrows at 3:23.
So,
over here somewhere.
Yeah, so the good thing about the Keswick to Barrow as well is that it follows just a standard kind of process every year. So you get really busy from about January through to May, and then there's not so much to do. So
I did it one year, Neil, and the dustbin men came. It's a true story, and we had to move out of the way because they were picking up garbage.
Really?
Yeah. This was years ago, but it's so funny.
Right. Yeah, it's just one of these. It's a local thing. It's got its own entry in Wikipedia and everything. It's just something. It's almost a rite of passage for people that are born in Barrow, they've got to do the Keswick to Barrow at least once. So you know, that's kind of how I started really in this area with the Keswick to Barrow. And
did you find it expanded your social network or your general network?
Oh, definitely, yes. Yes, I met a whole lot of people and that I would never have
crossed paths with.
Otherwise met. And also it just gives you sort of access to a whole lot of other contacts and even equipment and things that you can borrow and use. For, you know, so yeah, it was very good as a little, not intentional at the time, but as a bit of a springboard for doing other things. So because it's quite highly organised and quite well established, it was a good place to learn.
And what did that springboard to?
Well, the other things I do, I suppose, I'd organise a number of events and festivals, mostly around Ulverston. I'm also a parish councillor.
Are you? I didn't know that.
So, yeah, in the Lindell village where I live. So, again, that's a voluntary role. It's not massively significant role, but it's, you know, it's an important tier of local government, you know, just to make sure that residents are represented in some way. Parish council doesn't have a great deal of powers, but it's still, I think, a good thing to do. Again, not a massive commitment, especially in a village where not much happens. But in a way, you know, that's quite good. But you know, if people do have an issue, a complaint, or there's a planning issue or whatever, that, you know, the parish council is a focal point. So I do that. I organise a couple of festivals in Ulverston, one called Retro Rendezvous, which I've done for about 10 years, which is actually in partnership with a cycling event. The idea was there's about 500 cyclists come to do sort of retro cycle ride around the South Lakes. On their retro bikes. So a retro bike is anything over about 20 years old, I think. But it's basically kind of steel framed rally bikes. No e-bikes, but someone did have a chopper this year.
Oh, really?
And, you know, so it could be anything from a penny farthing up to a chopper, really.
And what inspired that?
Well, it was a friend of mine who, well, I didn't really know. But anyway, he and his wife, that sounds awfully sexist, doesn't it? Pair of friends of mine organised this cycling event, and they basically approached, at the time, it was a guy called Dave Watson, who ran a group called Ulverston Live Music. And they wanted to provide some entertainment for the cyclists. And so Dave did that with the Ulverston Live Music team, and I was kind of invited in to help with, as you say, really project managing it. Because project management probably wasn't Dave's strong point. And so sadly Dave passed away a few years ago.
I wondered if it was that Dave, because we interacted a couple of times.
That's another dog.
That was a big dog.
He was very well known. He worked in the NHS. He was retired, but he was a retired nurse, and he loved music. And he got really, really well-known singers from all over the country, folk singers, mostly, to come to Ulverston, and they would almost always stay in his house, you know, with him, and he'd put them up and
he was quite involved in the refugee, Furness refugee.
Right. So that's the same Dave. And his wife Linda, she's still involved in that. So he was absolutely great, and a completely different type of influence. But I got involved in that at the time when he was doing the music, and Alan and Ali were doing the bikes, and then kind of ended up holding the baby. Which is fine. And, we've actually just recruited a new committee member in the last few weeks. So
by invite.
I think it's more mutual. It was by invite, but it was someone who already volunteered.
Well, I think it's important to get the right people as well, isn't it? I was being a bit facetious, but
it's okay. But so we do that. Again, it's just once a year, and it fits in reasonably well because the Barrow is a little bit close, it's always in the beginning of June. So
right.
And the Keswick Barrow is always the beginning of May. So
yeah. So that's a heavy 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's fairly hectic time.
Yeah. And how do you balance is there anything else before I move that on that you volunteer for? I feel like there's more coming.
There might be a couple of other things.
Yeah, go on.
So I'm a trustee at Ford Park
okay.
in Ulverston, which is a community park. So it's owned by a charity.
And does that cover maintenance of the Hode?
No.
It doesn't. Mm-hmm.
It's adjacent to Hode, but Hode is actually owned and maintained by Ulverston Town Council.
Oh, really? It's not National Trust?
No.
Okay.
No, it's locally owned, but the land it sits on, or at least the land around it, is owned by a charitable group called Ulverston Town Lands Trust. Right. Which is a sort of ancient trust that's been around for hundreds of years.
Okay.
So they own the land and they rent it out. They have a tenant farmer and they maintain the paths up the hill and that kind of thing. Right. So we did run an event there called Light Up Hode at the beginning of this year. Oh yeah, I saw that. And we had to get permission from the Town Lands Trust and the Town Council, and we also used Ford Park because the three facilities are all kind of together, and we thought, we could do something with this. We could make better use of the three and work a bit more in partnership. So that was a really successful event. And we got basically, again, it was the first one, and we got about 500 people come along at dusk. That's great. And bring torches and so on. Did it rain? Am I remembering this right? No. Oh no, I think it was Kendall Torchlight rained. Yeah, I think they were the week before that. Yeah. But no, all we were doing was getting people to form a line as a zigzag path was all up the hill. Yeah. And we had a drone, and we just wanted to kind of emulate what already happens actually in a few of the mountains in the Lake District, like Helvellyn and so on, where they've been doing the same kind of thing for a few years now to raise money for charity. So we thought that would be quite nice to do in Ulverston, and it worked. So I think we'll do it again next year with maybe the pictures look great. Yeah, the pictures look really great. It was slightly odd because I was on the hill. The pictures did look great, and we did get the effect that we wanted, but being on the hill as part of it was a bit odd because you can't sort of see yourself, and so it felt like, I hope this looks all right because I can't really tell. See it from the top, yeah, and see if the vision's been realised. Yeah, so it did work, but at the time it was almost like a little bit of an anticlimax. You kind of on the hill thinking, is that it? Did it work? Did anybody notice? Yeah. Oh, that's cool though. But again, that was just a bit of fun. It wasn't specifically to raise money for charity or anything. It was just a bit of fun. Yeah. But in future, if it gets bigger, then we'd like to, if there's any surplus from it, we'd like to give that money to the hospice or to Ford Park, because Ford Park itself is a charity. Yeah. So there's always little things like that you can do. It actually wasn't very hard to organise, but you have to just make sure you've ticked all the right boxes and got all the right people on side and got the right permissions, because there are, for example, public footpaths, and you have to get permission to have an event on public footpaths. Yeah, let's just wait for this. Is that a person jumping out of the plane? The helicopter? Yeah. They just come up from the back of the Swan Hotel. I'm not sure. Yeah, someone famous. Could be. Yeah. Maybe they've heard that we're doing this interview. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Trying to get a picture from above. With the picture of Doug the dog. Definitely very noteworthy compared to the two of us. Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking that earlier, I was saying, why are you interviewing me? Because I don't think of myself as being in any way special. I mean, you'd walk past me in the street, I don't look like a film star or anything. No. I'm just in my... Well, you don't see it, Neil, but someone else might. You think? I don't think so. No. I mean, I'm thinking I'm dressed in my jeans and my trainers and so on, the same as I would have, any day. Any day, the same as I've dressed for the last 40 years. So. Well, so this is the whole point of this podcast, is to shine a light on people who are kind of, I guess, unsung heroes, fly under the radar, do all this hard work to help us have these community events, and
I think it's important to share that with everyone and to say, you do have a day job.
Yeah.
You're not doing this.
Yeah, and a family.
And a family.
And a dog.
And dog. So it's not like you're not busy.
No, I like being busy, but equally, I think this thing about me being Mr. Ordinary, I don't mean that in a kind of self-deprecating, false modesty sort of way.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually am doing something that anybody could do.
Yes.
I've got some.
But you're doing it. That's the difference.
But I'm doing it. Yeah, I've got some specific skills and experience and so on. But other people do too. But different skills and experience. So if your thing is needlework or something.
Thanks, mate.
I didn't mean you. No, I really don't.
We know that's
I really
not
didn't
the
mean
case.
But whatever it is, whatever your skill is, you could do something to share that skill with underprivileged people, or go along once a week or once a month to the local brownies or Girl Guides or Scouts or whatever. You can, there's all sorts of things you can do that don't need a great deal of commitment, but you can just help other people to learn and appreciate.
Yeah, and you get so much back for yourself as well, don't you? It's so rewarding to get involved in something and feel like you're contributing to your community. Yeah,
I was asked actually last year to go along to the local cub group on Burns Day. And recite a Burns poem.
Did you?
I did, yeah, the Piper, and only because I've got a Scottish accent.
Yeah,
that was my
I was going to say a bit of a
only qualification.
Stereotyping.
But really, anybody with a Scottish accent could have done that probably better than me. So.
As long as you can read. But it's quite a hard poem to read.
It was quite a nice thing to do, and the cubs seemed to enjoy it.
Oh, that's really nice.
And I got a nice thank you letter afterwards and so on. So, volunteering as such doesn't need to be anything complex. It doesn't need to be difficult. Anybody can do it. It doesn't have to be flamboyant, upfront, extroverts. It could be anybody doing anything. It could be answering the phone for a group like the Samaritans, or, there's lots of different kind of groups that help ex-drug addicts and alcoholics and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if there is such a thing as an ex-drug addict, but but you know what I mean. There's lots of things. You don't have to be organising festivals and standing on stages and making speeches and things.
It doesn't have to be overwhelming or in the limelight.
My message is that any Mr. Ordinary can do something.
Yeah.
If you want to.
And find a community, because it's so important. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and quite a few of the ones I listen to, maybe I've just attracted these, talk about, one of the biggest problems we're facing as a nation is loneliness. And, so many more people live on their own and don't have this other thing to go to and don't engage in this way with the community. And I guess for younger generations coming through, where everything is on a device, and actually their social interactions are very different to what we're used to.
Yeah.
It's a really important point, I think.
Yes, yeah. We found actually, one thing that just occurs to me I haven't mentioned is that during just before the first COVID lockdown, myself and a friend, Caroline Smith in Ulverston, we set up a group at the time called Ulverston Self-Isolation Group, and we subsequently renamed it to be Ulverston Resilience Group. Okay. So it's still going now.
Yeah.
But we set it up just before the start of lockdown because people were being told to self-isolate.
Yeah.
And at the time there was quite a lot of concern about, well, how would these people get the shopping done? How would they collect prescriptions? Who would make sure that they were okay?
Yeah.
And they would have this problem of loneliness and so on. So lots and lots of people were offering to help, but we kind of felt that we could basically coordinate it, and so we did. We set up a group and we sought volunteers, and we had about 400 or 500 volunteers.
Yeah, wow.
Very, very quickly, within a few days.
What's the population of Ulverston?
It's about 70,000, I think, but it depends what you mean by the population of Ulverston, because...
How far does it go?
It's not just a town centre. I know we distributed about 15,000 leaflets, so 15,000 households, if you like, when we set up.
Wow, that's impressive.
But that covered all of the LA12 postcode area, so there's a lot of villages and to the bottom end of Coniston and out towards Barrow, not just the town itself.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of small rural communities within the Ulverston area, and the people in those areas who during lockdown couldn't get out, don't have any local shops and so on, maybe no relatives nearby.
Yeah.
They themselves could be housebound, and they were previously reliant on social care and that kind of thing. A lot of that just stopped.
Right.
And also people who were working, who were self-employed, couldn't open up shops anymore, or conduct their businesses, or they were furloughed.
It's pretty devastating.
And a lot of people lost a lot of money, particularly if you were self-employed. Yeah. It wasn't like there was no furlough scheme equivalent.
I was going to say, there's a lot of people in this area who are self-employed, aren't there? Yeah,
it's quite an entrepreneurial area, actually. There are no massive employers in Ulverston. Yeah. There is in Barrow, there's a shipyard, which is a massive employer in Barrow, the main employer by a long way. Yeah. But in Ulverston, there's a lot more small companies and shops and so on. Yeah. So there were probably a higher proportion of people in Ulverston were impacted very quickly. Yeah. And people who normally were quite self-sufficient suddenly had no money, couldn't buy food, couldn't pay the rent, that kind of thing. So, and they fell through the cracks in terms of things like food banks and so on because they didn't qualify. Yeah. They didn't meet the normal criteria.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
So we raised some money and we delivered food and we collected prescriptions.
So if you guys didn't do what you were doing, they wouldn't have been known about, potentially.
I guess something else would have had to have happened, but we certainly gave people a bit of a focal point, both for requesting help. We set up a phone line, and which we manned 24/7, and we had a database of whoever called in what they'd asked for. And one of the big things we did was we collected prescriptions, so we got a number of people basically sort of certified by the police and so on to do that, because some prescriptions are quite powerful and you can't have anybody just wandering in collecting someone else's prescription. So we had to organise all that. We also did food deliveries. We worked with a local company and we paid for a whole lot of food to be cooked and frozen. Right. And then we delivered frozen meals that people could then heat up in the oven. Right. So, just things like shepherd's pies and, apple crumble or something. But so for people who wouldn't normally be entitled or wouldn't normally need that kind of thing, because they'd been told to self-isolate or whatever, it wasn't necessarily because they got no money. Yeah. It's just because they were unable to get out. Yeah. And so we did that. So so actually that was something that started from nothing. It was obviously totally unplanned. It just was a response to what was happening.
Grassroots initiative.
Caroline and myself, and then other people joined the committee very, very quickly. We had a committee of about 10 people within a week or so.
And that's what's really important to highlight, I think, in terms of what you do, is that a lot of people would have talked about it but wouldn't have actually done something.
Or people were trying to do things themselves. Yeah. You could see people posting on Facebook saying, if anyone lives in my street and you want some shopping done, then let me know, and that's great. But we felt that we didn't know how long it was all going to go on for, and we felt it was a little bit risky and a bit unsustainable. And what if that person's not available, or what if they get COVID, and it's not fair. Yeah. So we thought there were a lot of people wanting to do something. Lots of people, 400 to 500 people wanted to volunteer. Yeah. But didn't really know how or needed a bit of support and direction. So that's what we did.
Get organised.
So, and actually, I don't know if you know, but I got a British Empire medal for
did you?
doing that. Yeah.
Neil, you kept that quiet. See, this is what I mean. This is why it's important to talk to you.
It's quite important, yeah.
So did you go to the palace?
Yeah, we did. It was great. I wasn't looking forward to it. It's not my thing.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot of attention.
But it was actually really nice. Yeah. It was a lovely day. It was a nice sunny day, and we got lots of nice food and just wandered around the palace gardens, and it felt like a lovely thing to do.
That's fantastic.
So, I would say if you get
worthy recognition of all your hard work.
It was good, and again, I didn't particularly feel like I deserved it, but actually, as I said before, I think there is a thing about false modesty and actually recognising that when you do something and people want to thank you, then
receive it.
Receive it. It's that's
because it's intended sincerely, isn't it? It's not
And then the other thing I haven't mentioned, I don't know if you know this,
yes.
is that Caroline and I, who set up the resilience group, we were both awarded the Ulverston Citizen of the Year this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
And also the group got the voluntary group of the year. So,
fantastic. So I didn't even know these things existed.
No, well, yeah. they're not widely known.
Did you know they existed?
It's not quite in the same category as New Year's Honour. It wasn't an MBE, it was a BEM, which is a British Empire Medal, which is generally given for... BEM. He said, okay. I said, that's...
I'm not interested now.
Not interested.
No, kidding. That's awesome.
So a British Empire Medal is generally given for voluntary services. It's quite often given to people who, run groups like that, or they might do sports volunteering, or they might run a cricket club, or that kind of thing. It's So it's kind of not for doing your day job. It's more for doing sort of extracurricular things.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And these are things that you go above and beyond for, as well as your very stressful day job. I'd imagine it's pretty stressful. I don't know. I delegated that to you, and I just did my bit.
Yeah, I think my day job's quite. I'm not sure about stressful, but it's certainly very busy. I have to balance a lot of plates.
So what do you do then in terms of being so busy with work, doing your volunteer stuff? What do you do for your personal self-care and downtime?
Take the dog out for what?
Oh.
go to the pub.
Go to the pub.
We were at the pub last night with the dog, and that's nice. And my wife's quite busy as well. She's a secondary school teacher, and if anyone doesn't know any secondary school teachers, that's an absolutely manic lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a whole vocation, isn't it?
So she needs time out as well. So sometimes just going to the pub, have a meal, listen to some music.
Yeah.
You normally also find if you go to the pub with the dog, there'll be someone else there with the dog, and you end up talking to them.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a thing that dog owners all talk to each other.
I'll bring my virtual one.
Well, I probably know the names of all the dogs around the village, but not the owners.
Not the owners. That's funny. So where have you put all your your medals and things? Are they out on display?
No, not really.
No flashing lights and cabinets?
No.
That's disappointing.
I'm not even sure.
You're not sure where it is?
I'm not sure where it is.
No, I think, like you said before, it is nice to be acknowledged, have that acknowledgement and thank you.
Yeah, and to learn to accept it. It's not. It isn't my natural thing. I'm not an extrovert. I don't seek limelight. I certainly don't take selfies and that
we're
kind
going to have
to
take one for the podcast.
You didn't tell me that. I've never liked having my photograph taken.
Oh, okay. Well, you can face the other way if you like.
Right, okay. But I suppose I thought when I was thinking about this discussion, I was thinking,
definitely not an interview.
If people who are listening to this feel that there's nothing that they can do, that there's nothing special, that they're just ordinary, that to my mind, that's me. That's great. So you can definitely do something. You can, even if it's just knock on your door and talk to your elderly neighbour or something, and just make them feel a bit more listened to. Whatever. There's always something that you can do that makes someone else feel better.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
Sounds a bit corny, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It sounds, sometimes when you don't say these things out aloud, it doesn't register with people. Like, it wouldn't register with me that I'm standing next to someone that
someone so famous
who has been to the palace and had tea.
Well, yeah, quite nice tea and little cakes with crowns on them.
Oh wow! Any other insider info? What did you wear?
No, I can't tell you.
Oh, did you have to sign it?
It was just it was interesting actually, because one of my various jobs has been in security, and when we went to the palace. There was lots and lots of security, so obviously I was looking at how that was done. That's quite interesting. Lots of armed police and barriers and gates and stuff outside. It's all quite intimidating outside, and you get searched and
Do you kind of feel guilty before going in for something you've not done?
But then when you get in, it's totally different.
Oh,
it's like
a
little oasis of calm. So there's no obvious security at all. But it's because the security, I forget what they call it. I think they're called gentlemen at arms.
Oh, okay.
And they're all wearing tailcoats and top hats, and they're carrying rolled-up umbrellas.
Oh, wow. It's just like the movies.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was so clever. And, so they kind of directed you into which queue to stand in for your cup of tea and everything. But it was all just so old-fashioned. But, I'm sure they're all retired police sergeants and army officers and so on. So, I don't know if they had machine guns tucked up their coats, but it was all very, very British, and it was just part of the kind of quaintness and the
regal bit
stuff. Something a bit different, And
I was going to ask you something then about the introversion.
Oh yeah.
So how do you manage that? Because your job involves being around people. Your volunteer work involves being around, and I know you're not necessarily in the spotlight, but from what I've seen at work, you do need to take centre stage sometimes.
Well, I do, because I don't think it's massively uncommon.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I think people that are, for example, film stars or comedians and so on, often do that because they themselves, don't feel they've got anything to say.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm quite that extreme, but I think having a thing to do, having a reason for speaking to people, does help massively.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I suppose it's a bit like going to the pub with a dog and talking to someone else with a dog.
Yeah.
It's something you've got in common, and you talk about the dog.
Yeah.
Whereas if I went to the pub and I didn't have a dog, I probably wouldn't talk to the person at the next table.
Yeah.
So, I suppose that's how I deal with it. I deal with it because I'm doing a thing.
Yeah.
I've got a responsibility. I'm organising an event. I've got responsibility for what people are doing.
Yeah.
That they're doing it safely. That they're properly managed, supported. Make sure they get a break. They get bacon bun.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. There's lots to do. So there's lots of reasons to talk to people.
Yeah.
And
then do you need time to yourself? Because I know I do. And I've started calling it my lockdown weekends where I just don't see anyone. And actually one of my friends noticed it before me, before lockdown, and she would ask me if I was being a hermit this weekend or not. So, it's something I was always doing but wasn't really aware of.
I don't think I do that, not deliberately, but I do have days, I suppose, where I might just decide I'm going to cut grass or cut hedge or something. We've got quite
solitary.
A biggish garden with a big hedge.
Yeah.
So once I've made the first cut of the hedge, then
you can't stop.
I've got to keep going till I've finished.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's quite a solitary activity.
Yeah.
And so have you got any other secrets you'd like to share today, Neil? Any other awards or any other?
No, I've got some Boys Brigade awards, but that was a while ago. No, I can't think of anything that I haven't told you. I think without really asking me very many questions, I think you've managed to whittle out quite a few things that I hadn't even thought of.
The power of my charm. I warned you about this.
It's the power of the walk.
It is, it's true. Yeah. I think it just gets you circulation going, doesn't it?
It gets your guard down.
Yeah. Well, I think these are things that you should be okay talking about because they're great. I mean, it's so inspiring to know. And I know you're not doing it for the awards or the recognition or anything, but it's so nice for me to hear that you are being seen and that all your hard work is being recognised, and that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
So I've just got these steps.
Yeah.
So this place where we're at, like we said, it's Fellfoot Park. It was one of these sort of old Victorian type estates. Up the steps where we're walking just now would have been a big house.
Oh, okay.
Which is completely
I
gone
thought this is how I was going to meet my end. So this is a relief. Okay.
I'm going to chuck you into the cellars.
Not yet.
But we're right at the bottom of the lake, right. And so you can actually from here you can look up the whole length of the lake. Maybe not so much at this time of year, but when the leaves are on the trees. But certainly if you're here at the winter, you can see right up to the top of the lake.
And to have a house here would have been immense.
Fantastic, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so the house is long gone, like many of these estates, but the boathouses are still here, and a lot of these trees are quite exotic trees that are around us that would have been planted, by people that collected trees from all over the world.
Yeah, that's interesting, And they're obviously very old. Look at the size of them.
Yeah, but actually, and again, this wasn't something I'd thought about, but coming here, it's owned by the National Trust, but it's maintained by volunteers.
Oh, is it?
There's lots of people do volunteering here.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me just in Ulverston, which, as I said, it's not a very big town.
Yeah.
There's something like 8 or 9 different places where you can volunteer to do gardening.
Oh, okay.
Just gardening. If you want to cut grass or plant geraniums or whatever, there's always things you can do.
Something to get involved in, And being outside is so important, isn't it? I mean, I said, from all the laptop work, as soon as I'm like a caged animal has been released.
Well, and you have to kind of exercise. You have to, even just exercising your eye muscles. If you're sitting at a desk for a long time looking at a laptop, it's not good for your body. It's not good for your back or your eyes or anything. So it's good to get out.
I'm getting a phone call. I don't know what that does to the recording. I just ditch it and just check. We're still recording. We're good.
Yeah.
I've never had a phone call before.
I won't ask.
No, as in while I'm recording. I have received phone calls in the past. Yes, thank you. Yes. So, what's the plan for the rest of this year then? So do you do another Fine Fest?
I helped out at it.
So that's the one you do in June.
We just done it this last weekend.
Is that the one?
Missed it.
I know. I was in Italy. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Someone had to be here. Is that the one where you did the Guinness record thing?
A few years ago, yes, we did. Yeah.
You did it was a
foam pie fight. Yeah, we have. So I was involved in just not really in organising it, but I sort of supported on the day.
And did you get the record?
We did, yeah. We got the world record for the largest number of people in a custard pie fight or a foam pie fight. Yeah. That was done at Ford Park, funnily enough.
Was it? And was there an Odd Socks one as well?
Yes, there were 2 subsequent ones. There was an Odd Socks one and another one that was so memorable I can't even remember what it was. But
did you make the record though of the?
We did one of them, yeah. I can't remember which one it was. The one that definitely. No, I really can't remember. Mine's gone blank. Sorry, but the foam pie fight one was the first one.
Yeah,
that was really good. And that got the whole community behind it. As I wasn't involved in organising it, but I helped out a little bit with some of the equipment and just kind of setting up the site for it, because it all had to be done very strictly in accordance with Guinness World Record rules. And they specify.
They send the officials.
Yeah, well, they can either send an official or you don't have to have an official, which is what we did, which is cheaper.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to pay for the official and they come over from America or something.
Oh my God.
It was some phenomenal cost. But as long as you follow all the rules and you've got lots of documentary evidence and photographs and live video footage and stuff. So it was before drones, really.
Yeah.
It's a while ago now. But so we had a camera up a pole, basically, filming the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we had a turnstile in the middle of the field to count people in, and it was all fenced off and divided into sections, so you could see exactly how many people were in each section, and there were rules about each person had to throw 3 foam pies at people in their own section and so on, and you had to be able to prove to the Guinness World Records that you'd done it the right way with the right number of people in the allotted time and so on. So it's actually quite a complicated, technically challenging thing to do. To do it to get the record, and the team that did it, did a fantastic job, and I'm sure lots of people still remember taking part in that.
It was. I mean, I remember it, and I wasn't there, but I was probably on holiday somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it looked amazing.
So so that was part of another Fine Fest, which actually celebrated its 10th anniversary this year.
Oh wow!
So that another Fine Fest was set up in sort of memory of Stan Laurel, who was born in Ulverston.
Oh, okay.
And there's a Laurel and Hardy Museum in Ulverston, so it's a chap called Dave Crossley and Mark Greenhow, who runs the museum, who set up the festival in Stan's memory.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Right, there was some kind
history.
Of sense to it.
Yeah, not just another one.
Not just another festival. But it's a very inclusive sort of multicultural festival, and there's lots of music and arts and paintings and children's things, and every year something happens. Like this year, people made and dressed up as a giant column caterpillar and kind of conquered through the town.
Just really fun.
Yeah, well, being a 10th birthday is obviously a caterpillar cake, birthday cake. So
there wasn't a rebuttal.
Made complete sense.
The Aldi side.
It was I think it was. It
wasn't Aldi. Sorry.
No, Colin was.
It was Colin M&S. Yeah.
Cuthbert was the.
Oh, so there wasn't a Cuthbert.
There wasn't. No, there wasn't a caterpillar fight. No. Well, that would have been a good idea.
That would have been quite funny. Or maybe I should volunteer for the ideas team.
Yeah, well, you'd be perfect.
Come up with all these things.
There's always something for every weirdo.
I think I'd fit that category quite well. Perfect.
You can invent the next Colin the caterpillar.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks, Neil. Thanks for your time. It was nice to see you. Nice to see Doug. And that brings us to the end of today's walk around Fellfoot Park with the incredible Neil Fleming. And as an added bonus, a little guided tour tapped in on the side, taking advantage of Neil's experience in the area. So thank you very much for that too. We've heard about how Neil's volunteer work has been a driving force in supporting local charities and local events and helping to build community spirit. His dedication has earned him a BEM and Ulverston Citizen of the Year award, and has even helped to put Ulverston on the Guinness World Records map. Just amazing. Neil's message is clear. You don't have to be in the limelight to make a difference. Just show up, do what you can, and help your community thrive. Neil, thanks so much for sharing your story, your strategies, and for showing us how one person's efforts can really make an impact. It's been really wholesome and uplifting. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for another walk. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we did. And if you enjoyed it, please share your thoughts in our social channels. And please tell your friends all about us. And don't forget to come back and join us for another walk. So until next time, keep exploring.